Hello.
Hi, I actually had a question. Oh, I'm Morgan. Nice to meet you. Um, so since you were like still trying to figure out a lot about yourself, especially when you were a student, how best when you did have interviews and like were looking at companies, like how did you market yourself to them? So I know that's the one thing that like I know like the things that I can do, but I feel like I'm not hitting the points that like I should be.
You mean as in, if I can rephrase this a little bit, do you mean like how you can sell yourself in the interview?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that when we are in the mindset that we have to sell ourselves, we will not be as effective as if we are in the mindset of trying to connect with the person who is interviewing us. And I know that is something that has been helping me a lot in my connection, building connections with people. Um, for example, when I was at your age, and I thought, now that I'm trying to remember when I went to interviews at that time, my goal, I remember my goal wasn't trying to impress anyone that I interviewed with. I I didn't go to there are two things that I did. One is I didn't feel like this is the job that I have to have. And I kind of just be at peace with the fact that, oh, maybe I could be rejected, you know? And I think that being an international student at that time really trained me to get used to being rejected and not receiving an offer. So every time when I came to an interview, I think that I came with the energy that I was more relaxed than trying to sell hard on myself. And it's very counterintuitive. But when you are more relaxed in your interview and you just try to connect with the person who's interviewing you, I think that it shows that you're more confident about yourself and you're more capable than if you have if you come with the energy that you have to um compromise anything to be able to get that job, or you have to oversell yourself. So I think that it's very important. First of all, going back to what I talk about resume and experience, it's very important that you actually worked on building that track record of experience for yourself. And it's important to know the skill sets of the job or the industry you're applying to, what it requires. I personally do not think that people are hired only because they were good at the cognitive skills or the hard skills. And I hope this is a compliment for you, Zachary, but you know this very well.
I knew where you were going with this. Yes.
Yeah. So when I hired Zachary, it wasn't because he was necessarily the best at the hard skills that I was looking for in a candidate, but I would never, like, he really stood out to me as someone who took the opportunity very seriously. And there's a difference between taking an opportunity seriously versus trying to sell yourself, is that when you take this opportunity seriously, you someone who's interviewing you can feel that you're grateful for the opportunity rather than feeling like, oh, she just like everyone else who's trying to get a job. And that's something that Zachary really stood out to me. He follow up to express his gratitude. He submitted his test assignments on time. he's very responsive. And I know that he was very grateful even to be interviewed. And I think that was the traits that, to me, like the character skill, I think is equally, if not even sometimes can be even more important than cognitive skills alone. And the thing is that you all can build character skill as well. So I think that reflecting on every time when you didn't get a callback, or every time when you didn't have a job offer, and try to learn from it, and think about how I could be better in my next one without having an expectation that I have to have that job. That mindset will help you a lot. And being confident in yourself enough to know that you bring something to the table. But also, the great things about you guys at this age is that I think that what makes someone most attractive for hiring manager is from the character skill set, is beside being grateful, someone who is willing to learn and grow, someone who makes the hiring manager feel like I could train this person, because I was never worried that I couldn't train Zachary. To me, training skills is easy, but training characters is hard. I can't train someone to be more truthful. I can't train someone to be more respectful. I can't train someone to be grateful. But I can train someone to do numbers. I can train someone to understand our systems, and I hope that it's helpful for what you're looking for. But I do think that building character skill, and don't feel like you always have to sell yourself in the interview, but try to connect with the interviewer. Get curious about their role. Get curious about how you could help them in their role, and really deliver anything that you need to deliver in that interview. Do deliver it on time and with flair.
That's a very interesting point you bring up, Zip, about how to approach the interview itself, the communication that's going on in what could be a very brief conversation, right? Like 30 minutes or so. People going into to be interviewed can feel a lot of pressure. And I think you're giving a really wise advice on how to alleviate some of that pressure by approaching it from this is an opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The conversation I'm going to have with this hiring agent, no matter what the outcome is still a positive opportunity for me. And I could see that going in with that kind of mindset might help people feel a little less self-aware or a little less anxious, or I really love that. And I'd like to underline that in this particular conversation, because a lot of our students are like interviewing, or, have a lot of interviews ahead of them. And sometimes the anxiety can be, almost paralyzing, right? Like, I want to cancel this. This is too much for me right now. But to go in there with an attitude of, no matter what happens, I'm going to do my best. And this is a great opportunity for me to learn more about that person I'm speaking to and the company they represent. And so, thank you. That's terrific.
And I also maybe, because I do agree, this is a very important topic and relevant for you guys, I want to dive a little deeper in this topic. And great question, Morgan. I think that your energy and your attitude communicates before you speak. And I don't think anyone wants to hire someone who makes them feel negative, and if there's one thing that you should do right in the very first second when your camera is on is smile. Seriously, just smile and relax your face. I think when I reflected on I'm using you again, Zachary, because you're such a great example. You can tell how he's dressing up. It's not common as we are seeing nowadays. I look more like an intern than Zachary. I'm just saying, as we can tell on the call. But that's literally how he dressed up to have an interview with me since the very first one. And, is it a requirement? No, especially in media, people are a lot more relaxed when it comes to dressing up. And I will still never dress up like Zachary, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. But I do think that how you dress up to an interview and how you follow up with your interviewer, it shows how serious you take that opportunity. And for me, when I look at Zachary, I think that it's just his character, like he's the opposite of anything that you would automatically think when you see him dressing up like that. But to me, I find it very refreshing when someone takes the opportunity so seriously that I know that, it's not like they are just shopping around and trying to see, if anyone's gonna hire me. So I would say maybe 9 out of 10 people, or 90% of the time when I interview, if not more, I think that the mistake that a lot of the students have made is that they just go from one opportunity to another and not follow up. So I don't feel like these are the people who's trying to connect. These are not the people who I feel like I could offer them something that maybe is meaningful for them, because I don't feel that the people who just went on interviews and went from one opportunity to another without engaging and following up are the ones that I want to have in my team, because there are many other opportunities for them, and I want to hire someone who I know that it means something to that person. And before knowing Zachary in person, I could feel the way he communicated and the way that he took the opportunity so seriously, but at the same time, he was very humble about himself. It really sets him apart from everyone else that I interview. And I already told Zachary this very funny story, but right before I interview Zachary, I interview another candidate who actually reached out to me on LinkedIn, and he's Asian. So in my mind, I was like, because someone, I always want to support D&I and want to, champion diversity. So I told Zachary that I didn't expect to hire you without him being offended, because he knows that he owned it. But right before I interview Zachary, I interview another candidate, an Asian guy reaching out to me on LinkedIn and share with me the link to the job. and say that I'm very interested in applying for this role. And I want to learn more. Can I use your name to put in the referral in the application process? And I said, yes, please do, because I wanted to give him the opportunity to interview. And we ended up having a session, right? Because because of that, we ended up having an interview session. And I would never forget that when we met each other on Zoom, and I was just so bubbly and asking him how he's doing. And, I remember him reaching out to me on LinkedIn. I'm glad that it worked out. And he looked at me and he said that, really? I don't remember. And it was the most awkward moment for me in an interview when someone reached out to me on LinkedIn asking to put my name in the referral process to apply to work in my team, gone through the first round of interview with HR and the second round with me, and suddenly told me that he couldn't remember me. He didn't remember our conversation. Until I told him to look at his message on LinkedIn again. And he realized that he did. And it was very awkward. We went through the interview, but I can't underline it enough of how important it is that it's so important to make someone who you are trying to connect with to know that they matter. And in this example, I would think that in any case, if anyone who probably would forget it should be me, but it wasn't. I was the one who remember, who reached out to me, but he didn't remember who helped him to get there. So I'm sharing that example because I think that it's just real life example that I can provide to you to help you understand how character skill is so important. And if I just look at the experience, just by glancing at his LinkedIn and let's say Zachary's LinkedIn profile, he was a lot more experienced than Zachary. But at the end of the day, that's not what I'm looking for in a candidate. Alex Reyes, hello. By the way, before Alex speaks, can I also introduce Alex that she used to work with me in my team at the BBC as well. And I'm so impressed that she's dialing in for this call from LA. So it's very early for her, but hello.
Oh, yes. So yeah, I'm in LA right now working on a really cool project, and I used to work with Zip, and I feel like I wanted to say a couple things because I was actually able to, after college, get an internship at the BBC as a finance intern. And then after that, I worked under Zip for a couple with Zip. Under Zip, because Zip was my manager, but Zip is just being humble right now. But I just want to share my experience too of like just talking to people and asking for advice and asking for what you want. Because I feel like I got the opportunity. I was the only intern that got a full-time role at the BBC after the internship program. And the way I was able to get the internship, one, I was just curious, like Zip said. Like I went up to Zip and I was like, oh my God, I love your outfit. Because Zip is, even though she's like talking down how she doesn't dress up, she's like very stylish in office. And I went and I just went to go talk to her I went to tell her how much I love her rain boots, her Chloe rain boots that she had on. I still remember. And just going up to someone you don't know and talking to them and telling them that you're interested in what they do. And I feel like that's something that we've lost. Because being on Zoom, and I went on Zoom in like Zoom University, so it's like nerve-wracking to go up to people, be like, hey, what do you do? Or like, hey, I'm really interested in this. Do you know anyone that is in this? But I was one of those interns. I was putting calendar hold on a CFO. I was putting calendar hold on anyone that I was interested in, someone in product. There was this amazing person, Jenny Beard, who came into the BBC, and she was handling a lot of new technology that was happening in the BBC. I put a calendar hold on hers. Like I was just doing the most just to figure out where I could like be. So I think, and then eventually Zip was like, oh my God, I'm hiring for a role. I would love to have you on my team. And then we went through the whole interview process, and that's how I got my first full-time role, by being curious and not being shy to, especially when you're in college right now, people want to help younger students. So I was an intern. I was like, I'm putting my calendar hold on everybody's book. Like I'm gonna talk to everybody I want to because I'm the intern, and I could just do that when you're an intern. It's like people want you to be curious. People want you to tell you how they got to where they got you, and I think just not being shy about it is really what helped me land my full-time role with Zip at the BBC. So I just want to share that. Like, even on LinkedIn, send out LinkedIn messages like, hey, your career journey. And you'd be surprised how many people respond to that. So yeah, just want to say.
Thank you, Alex. I think that, oh my gosh, I really wish that we had more time for you guys to also get to know Zachary and Alex and Jenny, because they are really, I think that they all got their opportunities through very different paths, and I really want to highlight that. And thank you so much for sharing, Alex, because how Alex got the job when she was working with me was very different from how Zachary got his job when he got the job offer. Jenny, for example, when we had the Fordham event, another one that we met in person, she followed up with me and she reached out, and she was just looking to see how she could help me and learn more about Blooming Crisis, for example. But I think that there's always a common theme that I'm seeing through observing, and also what people are sharing here is being proactive. You will not be able to get a job just by waiting for it to come to you, but also Alex, Zachary, Jenny, and I don't know if Hung is on the call, but they look to connect, and they are curious. They always want to learn more. I really hope that we had more time, and maybe you guys actually, feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn as well, because I think that they are also very inspiring. I personally learn a lot from my team, and as you can see, they are also very unique from each other. They have different colors that I think maybe you guys can also, if you can relate to someone, you can relate to another as well. But that is to say that there are so many different paths to success. And I'm glad that Alex turned on her camera and shared her journey, because going back to Isabella's question at the beginning, like when you figure out what you wanted to do or what you would be good at, Alex is a very great, excellent example of that. And I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Alex, because I'm just so proud of you that I feel like I should share. She started, she's like the first one in her family to have first generation to have a college degree. And she probably also like the first one to work in corporation, but before she started as a finance intern at our company, she was modeling, and she tried different things out. She's always interested in arts, and we had a conversation about her interest in painting, because even though my role and my function, I'm looking for someone with technical skill set as well, but I'm personally a creative person. I love beautiful things. And Alex and I also connected on that. I have zero knowledge on fashion, by the way. I really want to say that. But I do like styling. I do like dressing up myself. And we connected on our shared interest. It's not just, oh, Alex is going to be so good at Excel, and that's how I'm going to make my decision to hire her because of that. People want to hire someone that they enjoy working with, who can amplify their life and their work environment, and fit in the culture of the team. And even now, thank you, Alex. And even now, she's still figuring things out for herself. She went from fashion to finance to being with me in business intelligence and pricing and yield, and now she's modeling again. And I'm so proud of her. So, that's why I wanted to invite my team here, so that you guys can see different paths to success. And that is also to say everyone is still figuring things out, and that's absolutely normal and fine and beautiful.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled that you invited Zachary and Alex. And Alex, thank you so much for sharing that story and logging on at 6:25 a.m. in LA, very early.